G'day everyone, and welcome to the next phase of the return of my 125 gallon reef tank. Well, in this phase we're going to have a look at all the equipment that I've been working on that sits in the stand underneath the aquarium. So let's go and have a look at what we've got going on. So in this section we've got a 10 gallon aquarium which will be the refugium. I was originally going to have a refugium in the sump, but I believe as far as refugiums go that bigger is better, and since this aquarium is 6 foot long, I definitely could afford the space to put a 10 gallon aquarium under here and set it up as a refugium. Now the plumbing comes off of the drain box. What goes into here is the half siphon from the bean animal drain. The full siphon goes into the sump, and so I'm going to be having the half siphon feeding the refugium. And the light that I'm using in here is a Max refugium light. That light's been specially designed to grow Kato, and I've used it in the past and it grows Kato really well. And in the side of the 10 gallon tank I've drilled a hole and inserted a drain, and it comes out on the other side and feeds past the protein skimmer into the next chamber and drains into there. I didn't want it draining into the same chamber as the protein skimmer, because if any copepods drain out of the refugium, I don't want the protein skimmer sucking them up. I'd much rather them end up in the display tank. So we've got the draining into the next chamber past the protein skimmer. Now back over here in the refugium section, I've got a power strip up here. Now everything I've plugged up in here is to do with water changes. So whenever I want to do a water change, everything that I want to turn off is plugged into here. I've got the wave makers plugged into here, so all I've got to do is turn off the red switch. So all of this will turn off. The wave makers will turn off, the protein skimmer will turn off, the return pump will turn off, and the ATO will turn off. Just makes it easy to be able to everything that I want off. When I do a water change, just flick one switch and it turns everything all off at the same time. And then once I've finished the water change, just flick a switch and it turns it all back on again. Makes life a bit easier. Now in this next section, we've got this PVC line here is the full siphon, which will feed down into the filter sock. This is just your traditional design of a sump, where you got your drain chamber where it has your filter sock, then just got two baffles, which is for bubble catchment. Then you've got the protein skimmer chamber, and here we've got a Bubble Magus Curve 5. I've had this protein skimmer for a fair while now and been very happy with its performance, and have no intention of ever upgrading. It fits really nicely here in the stand. And in the next chamber, which was originally going to be the refugium, I've now dedicated it to a heater chamber. I've got two Finex 300 watt titanium heaters in here, and they are plugged into over here on the wall. A Bayite thermostat controller. So this is designed to turn the heaters on when the water gets below the desired temperature, and if the water gets too hot, it'll turn the heaters off. There's another socket outlet below here that I'll be plugging a fan into, so when the water gets too hot, it turns the heaters off and turns the fan on and it cools the water. There will be, once I turn it on, a digital display readout here telling me what the temperature of the water is. So in passing, I'll always be able to at a glance see that the temperature is, you know, where I want it to be. And below that, I've got the Tunzi osmolator controller for the ATO. Getting back over here. Now the next chamber after the heater chamber, we've got the return chamber where we have the return pump. It goes from the return pump. I've got a baffle up here. Get around here, might be able to see it better. So I've got a baffle coming up from the return pump. So that one there just feeds the reactor. I've got a spare one just there if I ever need it. So we've got a two little fishies 150 reactor, which I'll be using for the GFO. And I'll probably modify it where I can put some carbon at the bottom of it. I'll put a plastic plate on top of the carbon, then the GFO can sit on top of that, and utilise the one reactor for both carbon and GFO. And behind that, I've got a 5-gallon bottle for the ATO. I've got a float valve sitting inside the bottle, so I never have to top the bottle up. It'll top itself up automatically via the float valve, and that float valve is fed from my saltwater mixing station from the RODI freshwater. And I've got behind the return pump, that's where the sensors are, the float sensors for the ATO. Sort of pick it out. So back here at the mixing station, I just thought I'd show you how it feeds from here to the float valve inside the reservoir bottle for the ATO. So this one here is the freshwater RODI storage tank, and down at the bottom we've got an outlet coming off of the bottom of the freshwater tank, just feeds directly to a tube which goes around to a tap, so I have the ability to turn the water off from the RODI water if I so need to, and then from the tap it just feeds down through the floor under the house, comes through the floor behind the stand of the aquarium, and feeds to the float valve to the reservoir. So back here again at the stand above the reservoir, got another power strip that would be permanently turned on, so that basically feeds power to everything else that can always stay on. And over here I've got a dosing pump. That's a Jabo dosing pump. I don't currently have it set up because I won't need to use it for a little while, not until I have some coral growing. But this is where it's going to be situated, and directly underneath that is where I keep all the B ionic, calcium and alkalinity, and a small bottle of magnesium. So I'm really pleased with how it's all come together, and managed to get all the basic equipment that I need to grow some good coral. It's all fitted in there really nicely, and really pleased with how it looks. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you like the video and the setup, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to keep following along and you're not subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I'll get back to you in the next video.